All right, welcome back. The next thing we're going to look at is how to plot a radar fix when given various radar ranges. So I'm going to use an example that we have in one of our courses here, and I'm going to write it so it's a little bit more legible from there. So it states that at 1925, we use three ranges to get a fix, and it's asking for our longitude and the approximate depth of the water. Now, the first point is York Spit Light at 3.4 nautical miles. New Point Comfort Spit Light number 2 at 2 miles. And then York Spit Swash Channel Light number 3 at 2.7 nautical miles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare myself by finding the points. I'm then going to use the latitude scale only to get my distance. And then I'm going to swing my ranges. Okay? So if you are not sure exactly where these points are, you would want to go into the light list. Now for this particular chart, the Chesapeake Bay chart, this is the yellow portion of the light list. So the first thing I'm going to look up is York Spit Light if I don't know where it is. I'm going to go to the back of the yellow section where Y would be, and I'm going to look up York Spit Light, and it tells me that the index number is 12190. So I'm going to go back into the yellow pages looking on the left edge of the page, and these are in numerical order. I'm going to find 12190, which I see here is York Spit Light, and it gives me the latitude and longitude. Now, you'll notice that some of these don't have the latitude and longitude, but if you can find something in the area, maybe even the main title like York River, then you can start looking for the name of it. Even if it doesn't have a latitude and longitude, if you can find something nearby, that will be helpful because these are listed in geographic order, seaward to inward. So I take this latitude and longitude, and I will find York Spit Light, and it tells me that it's at 3712.6 and 7616.8. So I could plot that. So 3712.6, so I know I'm going to be on the upper edge. So 12.6, so I've got 11, 12, and then 6 small tick marks. And then I bring that over to 16.3, which this is 15, this is 20, so I know that I'm going to be over in this area here. Okay, so I think this is the light. I'm going to go ahead and mark it, and I'm going to verify that with 16.3. So remember, longitude gets higher going to the left when we are in the western longitudes. So 16.3 is there. Okay, let's see. That's 16. Excuse me, 15.3. 15.3. Okay. And I go ahead and plot that, and I get that location. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight that just so we can have it a little bit more obvious. Now, the next light was New Point Comfort Light number 2. And so we go and do the same process. Look up New Point Comfort Light. And let's see. New Point Comfort Light number 2 is 12730. So I go back in the book and I look for that number on the left-hand side of the page, 12730. And I find it here. Okay. Now I don't have a latitude and longitude there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for Mobjack Bay and then try to find New Point New Point Comfort Spit Light number 2. So I've got Montebec Bay here. Makes sense that York Spit's here. Okay. I see New Point Comfort, the name of this area here. I then see two lights, which is a black dot with a magenta teardrop. I see this is number 4, which is for that light. And I see this is number 2. So New Point Comfort light number 2 is right there. And then my next one is York Spit Swash Channel light number 3. So I'm going to go back here again. And I'm going to look up York Spit Swash Channel light, which is 12740. So 127. So I have York Spit Swash Channel light number day beacon 1 and 2. And then I have number 3 right here. Okay. Gives me a latitude of 3715.7. So this time I'm going to come down from 20 and go to 15.7, which is 15 and then 7 little tick marks if I'm reading upward. Okay. And then it says it's at 20 even, so that's kind of nice. It's right on the longitude line. So there it is right there. So when you're looking for your points, I mean, generally they're going to be all in the same area. So now we've identified our points, and we're going to go ahead and do our plotting. Now remember, you always use the latitude scale for measuring distance, and always kind of stay in the area that you're working with. You don't want to measure at the bottom and bring it up to the top. There's some slight differences there. So the first one is York Spit light at 3.4 nautical miles. So I'm going to put my point on a latitude line here as my reference. Put the point there, and you need to have a piece of lead on the other side. That makes this a compass. If you have 2 points, that's a divider, and that's more used for measuring, not necessarily for laying down arcs. So 3.4, I'm going to put the point on the line, and I'm going to label these so you can see them. So this is 1 mile, 2 miles, 3, 4, and 5, and so on. So every alternating white and black square line there is a mile. So I'm going to do 3.4. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4 little tick marks. Now, because I'm not actually on a boat or on a ship and know exactly where I'm at, I've got to swing a pretty big arc on the first one because I'm probably somewhere in the middle of all of these. So I'm just going to do one good sweep there and show that arc. Okay, we can always erase later. Now, in the real world, you would know I'm coming out of the York River or I'm up here in Montebec Bay, so you wouldn't need to swing it so far. But for here, we're going to go ahead and just make it a broad stroke. The next one is New Point Comfort Spit light number 2. So I'm going to do 2 miles there. Now this time, I'm going to put the point right on the light. And I could have actually crossed in 2 places, so I'm going to go ahead and mark both of those because I still don't know exactly where I'm at. I'm either here or here. That's why it's always good to have a third one. And then we have York Spit Swash Channel light number 3 at 2.7. Always put the point on the line or else you'll break your lead. So 2.7 is what I'm measuring. And I like to make the little mark just to make sure I did it correctly. And that's at number 3. Now this time I'm sure where I'm at, so I only need to mark it in one position. So now I have a beautiful radar range fix, and I can determine my position is right there, right in the center of those 3 crossings. Now my problem was asking me, what is my longitude? So the easiest way to do that is to start on your longitude line and measure straight across. Make sure you're exactly straight across, as close as you can get it. And then go to where the 3 lines cross. Walk it up here to your longitude scale because it's asking us for our longitude. So I've got 76, 10, 15, 16.6. This line here is 16.6. So I've got 76, 16.6. Then it's asking me what the approximate depth of the water is. So I've got a 25, a 25, and a 28. So my choices are 25, 22, 20, and 26. I see 25 matches up and my longitude matches up, so I would select letter A as 76, 16.6 at 25 feet. Now, when you get a electronic fix like this, GPS, radar, and so on, you would put a little triangle around that, and then we would put the time. But right now, we're just marking where the range is. Okay, now we have another radar fix using the same points. So I'm going to go ahead and mark those and see what we come up with. So York Spit Light is 3.6 this time. So I've got 3.6. So go to York Spit Light. I'm going to swing 3.6. I then have New Point Comfort Light at 2. So I've got 2 miles there. Once again, I'm probably going to cross in 2 different places. And then we have York Spit Swash Channel Light number 3 at 2.5. So 2.5. Okay. And this time, my fix is right here. Okay. Just a little bit northwest of it. Now it says, using those ranges, what is your longitude? Okay. So I'm going to go over here. And it doesn't matter which direction you go as long as you read it correctly. And I'm going to measure to the crossing of those 3. And I get 76, 16.8. And so that would be my answer there, 76, 16.8. All right. The main thing to remember is making sure that you're using the correct points. Also, another important factor is making sure that you're always measuring distance on the latitude scale, because latitude is parallel, whereas longitude, these lines meet at the poles. So although you can't tell looking at a Mercator chart, these lines are not parallel to each other. They're wide at the equator, which is where they're actually similar to latitude. But as it gets closer to the poles, these lines get closer and closer together. All right, now go practice doing some radar ranges yourself.